Morning everyone, back again, another weekend. Weather's finally made a change. Looks like we're going to be above zero here for the next 2 weeks. A couple days to get down maybe -2, -3, but maybe spring's coming early. Would be nice. I don't need it too quick here because it's just going to make me feel bad because I'm nowhere near ready to go for a drive yet. So, but I'll show you what I've been working on. Seems like the easiest stuff always kicks your ass the worst. I've been working on, I got my air intake and air filter setup figured out. I've got a silicone flex joint and my air temperature sensor is installed in a grommet inside the tube. Then I've got a 6.5 by 9.5 fiber filter up there. So the other thing I've been working on, and this is what's been kicking my ass, is my upper rad hose. I've already got the Chevy configuration here for my radiator, and I wasn't going to change that by buying a new rad. And I kind of like the cross flow anyhow. The bottom comes in on the right, or comes out on the right, and it goes in on the left up there. So been working on that. I'll just what I'm going to do is I'll take this apart and I'll show you the procedure and everything I use to make it, and go from there. Just give me a sec here, get you in the tripod, and I'll disassemble this and then I can show you the process. Okay guys, we're back here. So here's the components that I'm using for the upper rad hose. I took my thermostat housing and I cut the nipple off of it, and I welded a 1.75" mandrel bend aluminized tubing to it. I've got a little bit of a bubble on the end of this to stop the hose from pulling off. I'll show you the process I use for doing that. The other end, I've got same thing, 1.75", but on this end I had to shrink the end of this with probably 3,000 hits from the hammer, and shrunk it all down to it's just over 1.5", which is what my inlet is. On the Chrysler 300 it was the same thing, down to from 1.75" down to 1.5". It might even have been 1.25". So then I've got a piece of 1.75" straight that slides on, gives me my horizontal flex, my 1.5" piece goes in. These will all be clamped, and then this is a piece of 1.5", just under 90, goes on. It's a really snug fit on here, but you get how it goes on. I'll take you over to my bead roller and I'll show you the process that I use for putting the little bubble on the end of the piece of tubing to stop the hose from blowing off. It took me quite a while to get this figured out, get a process set up that would work. What I've got is a little aluminum disc. It's actually a plug from cutting a hole in a piece of aluminum with a hole saw. Worked out perfectly. I chucked it up on a 1/4" bolt in my drill press, and then I used a flap disc on my little angle die grinder and rounded the edge of it over. I'm using the smallest female portion of my bead roller here, and what I do, it takes a couple passes. See if I can get you in the right spot here so that you can see what's going on. Put it in, and it ends up being about 1/4 inch in from the end. I'm going to tighten this down. I'm going to go just a little bit to get it started, tighten it down some more. And it'll probably take about two full passes, maybe 3. I just run it around. You can see it's forming right here. This one's working out really well. It doesn't take a whole lot to stop the hose from blowing off. Release this. You grab a straight edge here of some kind. Okay, so as you can see, it's got a nice bead all the way around. I'll just hold this Allen key. Right there, you can see there just a little bit of a bead. So if you have a bead roller, it's really easy to make one of these, and you'll be able to put the bead on the end of it. So on the lower hose, I'm going to end up using a flexible, those straight accordion style, similar to these. Reason being is it's really tight down underneath there, and it's 1.5 inches coming out of into the water pump, 1.75 inches coming out of the radiator. So Gates makes one that is the correct dimensions. It's 1.5 inches on one end and 1.75 inches on the other, 13.25 long, which is about 1/2 inch too long, but I think I can trim a touch off each side. So that's going to work out well. Get that all done. The other issue I'm having that I'm working on is my gas pedal. Going from the GM style mechanical to the Chrysler 300 electronic is proving to be a bit of a dilemma. You can see that this is my firewall. This one sticks up way too far. I'd have to lift my foot up, put my knee on the dash almost. So what I'm planning on doing is I'm going to cut this little wedge out here in an angle. I'm going to pull this down, going to glue it back together with JB plastic and put a small aluminum brace riveted on the bottom, which should give me the correct angle. And then the other thing that I have is, because I'm using a RH46, which is the non-electronic transmission, I have to come up with some way that the throttle is tied to the throttle cable on the transmission itself via the cable. So I've been working on a pulley system, well, not a pulley system, but a bell crank system that's going to run off a wheel on the bottom here. It's going to get bolted to the 2 mounting bolts that are right here, and it'll have an arm that pulls the cable for the kick-down throttle pressure on the transmission. I need 1 5/8 inches of throw on that cable from no pressure to all the way on, so it's going to be a bit of a challenge. This right now only moves about 3/4 inch, so I'm going to have to use some calculations and stuff like that to get this to work. So as I get that figured out, I'll bring you back and show you how that's working out, guys. So thanks for tuning in. Just a short update what's been happening. The supply chain is really holding me up. I'm waiting for parts constantly. All my air conditioning stuff is on hold. I've got about $380 worth of fittings coming. So much for $1,200 or $1,300 to do AC on it. Now we're up to about $1,700. So I would imagine by the time I'm done, that's going to be a $2,000 option. I sure hope it works good. So anyhow, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. All the support on the channel. We'll catch you on the next one.